Jezekiel, chapters 47 and 48. And he brought me to the entrance of the house, and behold, water issued from under the porch eastward. For the front of the house looked eastward, and the water came down from the right side, from the south to the altar. And he brought me out by the way of the northern gate, and he led me round by the way outside to the gate of the court that looks eastward. And behold, water came down from the right side, in the direction in which a man went forth opposite. And there was a measuring line in his hand, and he measured 1,000 cubits with the measure. And he passed through the water. It was water of a fountain. And again he measured 1,000, and passed through the water, and the water was up to the thighs. And again he measured 1,000, and he passed through water up to the loins. And again he measured 1,000, and he could not pass through, for the water rose as of a torrent which man cannot pass over. And he said to me, Hast thou seen this, son of man? Then he brought me, and led me back to the brink of the river. As I returned, and behold, on the brink of the river there were very many trees on this side and on that side. And he said to me, This is the water that goes forth to Galilee, that lies eastward, and it has gone down to Arabia, and has reached as far as to the sea, to the outlet of the water, and it shall heal the waters. And it shall come to pass that every animal of living and moving creatures, all on which the river shall come, shall live. And there shall be there very many fish, for this water shall go thither, and it shall heal them, and they shall live. Everything on which the river shall come shall live. And fishers shall stand there from Engadin to Enagalim. It shall be a place to spread out nets upon. It shall be distinct, and the fishes thereof shall be as the fishes of the great sea, a very great multitude. But at the outlet of the water in the turn of it, and where it overflows its banks, they shall not heal at all. They are given to salt. And every fruit tree shall grow by the river, even on the bank of it, on this side and on that side. They shall not decay upon it, neither shall their fruit fail. They shall bring forth their first fruit of their early crop. For these their waters come forth of the sanctuary, and their fruit shall be for meat, and their foliage for health. Thus saith the Lord God, Ye shall inherit these borders of the land. They are given by lot to the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. And ye shall inherit it, each according to his brother's portion, even the land concerning which I lifted up my hand to give it to your fathers, and this land shall fall to you by lot. And these are the borders of the land that lies northward, from the great sea that comes down, and divides the entrance of Emasaldum, Meabathera, Abrameliam, between the coast of Damascus and the coast of Emathi, the habitation of Saunon, which places are above the coasts of Aranatis. These are the borders from the sea, from the habitations of Enon, the coasts of Damascus, and the northern coasts, and the eastern coast between Laurantis and Damascus, and the land of Galaad, and the land of Israel. The Jordan divides to the sea that is east of the city of palm trees. These are the eastern coasts. And the southern and southwestern coasts are from Theman, and the city of palm trees, to the water of Merimoth Kaddim, reaching forth to the great sea. This part is the south and southwest. This part of the great sea forms a border, till one comes opposite the entrance of Emath, even as far as the entrance thereof. These are the parts west of Emath. So ye shall divide this land to them, even to the tribes of Israel. Ye shall cast a lot upon it, for yourselves and the strangers that sojourn in the midst of you, who have begotten children in the midst of you. And they shall be to you as natives among the children of Israel. They shall eat with you in their inheritance in the midst of the tribes of Israel. And they shall be in the tribe of proselytes among the proselytes that are with them. There shall ye give them an inheritance, saith the Lord God. And these are the names of the tribes from the northern corner, on the side of the descent that draws a line to the entrance of Emath, the palace of Elam, the border of Damascus northward, on the side of Emath the palace. And they shall have the eastern parts as far as the sea, for Dan, one portion. And from the borders of Dan eastward as far as the west sea coast, for Aser, one. And from the borders of Aser, from the eastern parts as far as the west coast, for Nephthalim, one. And from the borders of Nephthalim, from the east as far as the west coast, for Manasseh, one. And from the borders of Manasseh, from the eastern parts as far as the west coast, for Ephraim, one. And from the borders of Ephraim, from the eastern parts to the west coast, for Reuben, 1. And from the borders of Reuben, from the eastern parts as far as the west coast, for Judah, 1. And from the borders of Judah, from the eastern parts, shall be the offering of firstfruits in breadth 25,000 reeds, and in length as one of the portions measured from the east even to the western parts, and the sanctuary shall be in the midst of them. As for the firstfruits which they shall offer to the Lord, it shall be in length 25,000, and in breadth 25,000. Out of this shall be the firstfruits of the holy things to the priests, northward 25,000, and towards the west 10,000, and southward 25,000. And the mountain of the sanctuary shall be in the midst of it. For the priests, for the consecrated sons of Zadok, who keep the charge of the house, who erred not in the error of the children of Israel, as the Levites erred. And the firstfruits shall be given to them out of the firstfruits of the land, even a most holy portion from the borders of the Levites. And the Levites shall have the part next to the borders of the priests, in length 25,000, and in breadth 10,000. The whole length shall be 25,000, and the breadth 20,000. No part of it shall be sold, nor measured as for sale, neither shall the firstfruits of the land be taken away, for they are holy to the Lord. But concerning the 5,000 that remain in the breadth of the 25,000, they shall be a suburb to the city for dwelling, and for a space before it, and a city shall be in the midst thereof. And these shall be its dimensions: from the northern side 4,500, and from the southern side 4,500, and from the eastern side 4,500, and from the western side they shall measure 4,500. And there shall be a space to the city northward 250, and southward 250, and eastward 250, and westward 250. And the remainder of the length that is next to the firstfruits of the holy portion shall be 10,000 eastward and 10,000 westward. And they shall be the firstfruits of the sanctuary, and the firstfruits thereof shall be for bread to them that labor for the city. And they that labor for the city shall labor for it out of the tribes of Israel. And the whole offering shall be a square of 25,000 by 25,000. Ye shall separate again part of it, the firstfruits of the sanctuary, from the possession of the city. And the prince shall have the remainder on this side and on that side from the firstfruits of the sanctuary. And there shall be a possession of the city for 25,000 cubits in length, to the eastern and western borders, for 25,000 to the western borders, next to the portions of the prince. And the firstfruits of the holy things in the sanctuary of the house shall be in the midst of it. And there shall be a proportion taken from the Levites, and from the possession of the city in the midst of the princes, between the borders of Judah and the borders of Benjamin, and it shall be the portion of the princes. And as for the rest of the tribes, from the eastern parts as far as the western, Benjamin shall have one portion. And from the borders of Benjamin, from the eastern parts to the western, Simeon, 1. And from the borders of Simeon, from the eastern parts to the western, Issachar, 1. And from the borders of Issachar, from the eastern parts to the western, Zebulun, 1. And from the borders of Zebulun, from the east to the western parts, Gad, 1. And from the borders of Gad, from the eastern to the southwestern parts, his coast shall even be from Theman, and the water of Baramoth Cades, for an inheritance unto the great sea. This is the land which ye shall divide by lot to the tribes of Israel, and these are their portions, saith the Lord God. And these are the goings out of the city northward, 4,500 by measure. And the gates of the city shall be after the names of the tribes of Israel. 3 gates northward, the gate of Reuben, 1, and the gate of Judah, 1, and the gate of Levi, 1. And eastward, 4,500, and 3 gates, the gate of Joseph, 1, and the gate of Benjamin, 1, and the gate of Dan, 1. And southward, 4,500 by measure, and 3 gates, the gate of Simeon, 1, and the gate of Issachar, 1, and the gate of Zebulun, 1. And westward, 4,500 by measure, and 3 gates, the gate of Gad, 1, and the gate of Asher, 1, and the gate of Nephthalim, 1. The circumference, 18,000 measures, and the name of the city, from the day that it shall be finished, shall be the name thereof. The Revelation of St. John the Theologian, chapter 14. And I looked, and lo, a Lamb stood on the Mount Sion, and with him 144,000, having his Father's name written in their foreheads. I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters, as the voice of a great thunder, and I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. And they sung, as it were, a new song before the throne, before the four beasts and the elders, and no man could learn that song but the 144,000, which were redeemed from the earth. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb, whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the firstfruits unto God and to the Lamb. In their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation, and kindred, and tongue, and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear God, and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven, and earth, and the sea, and the fountains of waters. And there followed another angel, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels, and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up for ever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God, and the faith of Jesus. And I heard a voice from heaven, saying unto me, Write, Blessed are the dead which die in the Lord, from henceforth. Yea, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, Thrust in thy sickle, and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, Thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. And the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horse bridles, by the space of 1,600 furlongs.